Good morning. I'm Savannah Sellers. Joe is off today, and we're, of course, going to get started on this Monday in Texas, where Hurricane Beryl is making landfall and taking aim at Houston, the nation's fourth largest city. The storm, which was upgraded to a Category 1 overnight, is packing sustained winds of 80 miles per hour and is bringing more than a foot of rain in some of the hardest hit areas. There's already been significant reports of dangerous storm surge along the Texas coast. The state's lieutenant governor issued a disaster declaration for more than 100 counties ahead of the storm, warning people that there will be, quote, significant devastation. Now, the U.S. Coast Guard shut down multiple ports and several schools are closed today and tomorrow, including the state's largest school district in Houston. We are covering the storm from all angles. We have meteorologist Angie Lassman standing by with the forecast. We also have the public information officer from Matagorda County, Texas, Mitch Thames. He is here with more on the official preparations. We're going to get started, though, with NBC News correspondent Jay Gray, who is live in Port Lavaca, Texas, which is in the direct path of the storm. Jay, good morning. First, what is the weather like there now? What are officials telling people to brace for in the coming hours?
Yeah, and Savannah, we're getting a bit of a lull right now. We continue to see some of the gusts that are upwards of 60 miles an hour or so, but the rain has stopped for this point. It's not over by any means. As you talk about, this storm has made landfall, and we've seen heavy rain. We've seen strong winds. I just watched about 30 minutes ago power transformers popping one after the other. We don't have power here. They're close to 150,000 without power right now in the strike zone. And that's only going to magnify as we talk about. This is a storm that has moved onshore. It's rotating counterclockwise, as you know. And so we'll begin to get those bands coming back through with more rain, more winds. And water's really going to be the big issue now. You talked about Houston. They're going to see some heavy rains over the next several hours. It's an area prone to flooding. We've seen serious flooding there before, and it's something that it wouldn't be a surprise if we have that a bit later today. Look, we've have areas across this region that have already had 6 inches of rain. Now they're going to see 2 to 4 every hour. There are flash flood warnings in effect. We also know that there are some tornado warnings in effect, and that's what you often see in these storms. The storm moves onshore, and then you start to see these tornado warnings pop up. So, again, just because this storm has made landfall does not mean it's over. In fact, in many areas, it's just the opposite.
Jay, what's the biggest concern for the people who live there as we move forward here? What are you hearing from residents?
Yeah, I think it's the water, first of all, and all of the rain that we're going to continue to see, and flooding, which is, a major problem in this part of the country. There are a lot of people who've moved to higher ground, moved to areas outside of the strike zone. And so for them, the idea is getting back in and seeing what's happened. That's going to take some time as well. And what authorities are saying is don't rush back. There's no need to get back. Many areas are without power. There's nothing you can do here. So they're saying be patient. Let this thing pass. If there's any good news, Savannah, it's that this storm is moving at about 10 miles an hour. So it's moving at a pretty good clip.
Absolutely. Jay, did people there listen to those warnings to evacuate?
I think in the immediate Port Lavaca area, several did. They got out of the way. I think overall across the region, I'm not sure they did. This developed pretty quickly, and for so long, this area was not a part of the cone. This wasn't an area they thought was going to be dramatically affected. That changed very quickly, and I think a lot of people decided, well, I'm going to ride this thing out. What officials are saying, if that's what you chose to do, understand that you're doing that at your own risk. Make sure you have plenty of food. Make sure that you charge your phones and other devices because you're going to lose power. And at the height of this storm, which some still haven't got to yet, we're not going to send people in to try and pull you out. We're not going to put first responders in harm's way if you made that decision to stay. And so right now, that's what's happening with a lot of people across this region. They're riding it out.
Jay Gray.
As the rain, Savannah, begins to pick up as we get another band move through.
Absolutely. Well, Jay Gray, stay safe. We'll talk to you in just a little bit. Thank you very much. Let's now bring in Mitch Thames. He is the public information officer for Matagorda County, which is about 90 miles south of Houston. Mitch, thank you very much for joining us this morning. So the eye of the storm passed right over your county as it made landfall. What does the damage look like at this point? What can you assess?
Well, Savannah, I will tell you that we've had quite a bit, hours and hours and hours of extremely high winds. We've got a lot of rain. We've got some inland flooding as well as tree limbs being down. The Gulf Coast is inaccessible right now. The high tides on top of the storm surge, on top of the wind and the rain, has closed many of the coastal areas. We expected that. 3 days ago, we said we had a voluntary evacuation for those areas. It's prone to flooding, but it's also expected. The houses are built in such a way we don't have any reports of any homes being damaged. But in Bay City and Palacios, in the inland part of our county, because we're right along the Gulf Coast, we've got significant damage. We've got about a third of our community is without power right now. We've got a couple of reports of down power lines. They're not energized, but they are down. And so we've had a significant hit. Just a few minutes ago, we were in the eye. In the middle of the eye. We know that backside is coming at us. We know it's probably going to be a little worse. We know we still have a tremendous amount of rain.
When do you expect power to come back? Any idea on that yet for your residents who are without it?
Well, there's good news and bad news. We're not going to be able to do anything until the winds die down. We still got the back half of this hurricane to go through. So it's going to be hours and hours. The good news is our power crews are pre-staged, both AEP Texas and our local Jackson Electric Power Co-op. They've pre-staged. They're ready to go as soon as it gets safe for those employees to be out. We expect them to hit the ground. Our sheriff's department as well has predetermined routes ready to go as soon as the winds get into a manageable level. The county commissioners are standing by to clear debris. Our state transportation department is ready. Embedded with us now at our Emergency Operations Center, we've got the Texas Department of Emergency Management. We've got Swift Water Rescue. We've got High Water Rescue. We were sitting here riding out the storm. Our number one message to the citizens all along the Gulf Coast, but particularly here in Matagorda County, is please stay home. I'm worried about they're trying to get out in the eye. Again, we were dead center. They think that it's over. It's not over. We expect it to come back with a vengeance. Please stay home. Even when the sun comes up, please stay home. We have our first responders. We have official teams ready to go out, ready to do their assessments. And we just don't have time to have people driving around assessing damage. Give us a little bit of time. I anticipate this process is going to be several hours, as much as 10 o'clock this morning, maybe noon. We're just not sure. As your meteorologist said, it's moving about 10 miles an hour. It's not moving fast enough for us, to be really honest, but I understand overall it's moving. Our whole area has been impacted, so please stay home. Please don't get out. And I know everybody, I know the curiosity is high. Please hang back. Let our first responders, let our law enforcement, let the work crews do their thing. Let's clear the roads. A lot of flooding, low-lying areas are flooded. A lot of our neighborhood streets are underwater, and it's just really not safe to get out right now.
Mitch Thames, thank you very much for joining us this morning. We know it is a busy one. We appreciate your time and an important message for the people of your county there. Thank you very much. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Well, as Texas braces for the impact of Hurricane Beryl out west, firefighters in California are battling another wildfire. The Lake Fire erupted in Santa Barbara County over the weekend, burning across more than 18,000 acres so far. It started near the Los Padres National Forest on Friday afternoon, which is about 115 miles northwest of Los Angeles. The fire, which is now the biggest in the state, has already destroyed several homes and prompted evacuation orders in multiple towns, including the late Michael Jackson's former Neverland Ranch. So far, it has only been 8% contained. This fire is one of 21 active wildfires in California as the state experiences a dangerous, record-breaking heat wave. For more details on both of these stories, Hurricane Beryl making landfall in Texas and also the heat out west, let's get a closer look at your forecast with meteorologist Angie Lastman. Hey, Angie, good morning.
Good morning, Savannah. The weather has no chill, put simply. We've got all of that historic heat happening out west, but of course, in the immediate future, all eyes are focused on what's going on with Beryl. Did make landfall earlier this morning around 4 a.m. Central Time. Winds were about 80 miles per hour. They're maintaining that, so we have a Category 1. If this system had a little more time over the Gulf of Mexico, I fear we would have been talking about a much stronger system. If it had an extended amount of time, really strong, we probably would have seen some rapid intensification happening. Beryl has been quite impressive over the past essentially 2 weeks since it came offshore of Africa as a tropical wave 13 days ago, and now has made a third landfall. The impacts have already been far-reaching across parts of coastal Texas, stretching into northern portions. Notice that we see some of this heavy rain headed for Galveston. We're going to see one of these really heavy rain bands working through that region. The flooding has already been a big issue. And one other thing to note, notice where the eye is, and it's moving directly north. We'll likely see Houston maybe to the west will be where that center lines up here as we get closer to, say, 9, 10 o'clock this morning. So mid-morning hours, the center will at least be near the Houston metro area. But in the meantime, we still have impactful weather. It's looking a little more ragged, that eye, but still maintaining its strength as of the latest update from the National Hurricane Center. But notice these wind speeds that we're currently dealing with. 68-mile-per-hour winds in Houston. We've got 56-mile-per-hour winds just offshore. Even East Matagorda, who was where we saw that landfall happening earlier this morning, they went through the eye. They saw those winds calm down. They're now sitting about 35 miles per hour. Port O'Connor about 51 miles per hour. One other thing to note, we've got a tornado watch. It's kind of hard to see, but you see where that pink line is? That's the tornado watch that's in effect until mid-morning. We could potentially see that extended, but either way, it's not hard for us to get some of these isolated tornadoes, those spin-ups with the circulation coming on shore. This is something we often see, especially as the system moves to the north in this kind of area, general vicinity, as that system's on the move, making its way to the north. Now, the highest winds we've seen so far, pretty impressive from Freeport, 92-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Matagorda Beach, we saw those peak around 75 miles per hour. Matagorda Bay, 89 miles per hour. So wind damage is going to be likely. You heard the official from Matagorda County talking about the power outages. That's something that will be pretty widespread. The downed trees, all going to be something that we have to deal with. But we're really concerned about the rainfall. Bay City coming in over 4 inches so far. That's just in the last 24 hours. These numbers are going to climb pretty quickly, especially as that system continues to work its way to the north. When it's all said and done, probably 5 to 10 inches of rain, but upwards of maybe 10 to 15 inches of rain. I think 15 is on the high end, the maximum that we'll see. But you never know when some of these really intense tropical rain bands set up one after another in a spot, especially when we deal with these really vulnerable areas. We've seen what's happened in the past with Houston, specifically the metro area there, really vulnerable to the flooding, and that's something that we're going to see. Now, storm surge also has been pretty impressive. I think right outside of Matagorda Bay, at the mouth of that bay, we saw it peaking around 4 feet. We did have a little help with the low tide coming just before that landfall, so that made for some better conditions than what we could have seen if we were talking high tide time. But Savannah, there likely will be more images coming out of that area. And yes, we talked about the heat, still 122 million people under this heat wave. This is going to be something we see for the extended period. We saw Las Vegas into the high 118 over the past couple of days. Many more records to come. Notice Palm Springs 119 Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Las Vegas tapping out at 117 Tuesday and Wednesday.
And that is where it gets dangerous.
Exactly.
Yeah, stay inside. Angie, thank you so much. Lots of great info. See you in just a little bit. Let's turn now to the race for the White House. On Sunday, Meet the Press moderator Kristen Welker spoke with California Democratic Congressman and Senate candidate Adam Schiff about whether he thinks President Biden should pass the torch to Vice President Kamala Harris amid concerns over Mr. Biden's age. Here's part of that conversation.
Can President Biden win overwhelmingly by any stretch at this point?
Either he has to win overwhelmingly or he has to pass the torch to someone who can't. It's as simple as that, because what the Supreme Court did in that decision was give the next occupant of that office, whether it's Joe Biden or anyone else, nearly dictatorial power.
Yeah, I want to ask you about that coming up, but let me very quickly ask you about the vice president. You saw the polling. One poll shows her doing better against former President Trump. Do you think she's a stronger candidate to take on Donald Trump?
I think the vice president would be a phenomenal president. I think she has the experience, the judgment, the leadership ability to be an extraordinary president.
Could she win overwhelmingly, Congressman?
I think she very well could win overwhelmingly, but before we get into a decision about who else it should be, the president needs to make the decision whether it's him. I don't want to get into a debate. I don't think it's good for the party to get into a debate over, okay, if not him, then whom, but rather let's focus on the fundamental decision.
Our thanks to Kristen Welker for that conversation with California Congressman Adam Schiff, and you can see the full interview at meetthepress.com. Well, let's stay with this story. Lawmakers are returning to Capitol Hill today after the holiday recess as Democrats argue over whether President Biden should stay in the election race. The president spent the weekend trying to reassure uneasy party members, donors, and voters that he has got what it takes to beat former President Donald Trump. It comes as NBC News learns that 4 more Democrats in Congress told their colleagues that they believe President Biden should step aside. NBC's Bree Jackson has the latest.
My name is Joe Biden. I'm
facing
Joe Biden's
intense pressure to prove himself. President Biden campaigned in Pennsylvania Sunday, seeking to fight off criticism about his chances of winning re-election.
I've been doing this a long time, and I, honest to God, have never been more optimistic about America's future if we stick together.
But members of his own party have their doubts. Nearly a dozen House Democrats have called on Biden to drop out of the presidential race after concerns about the 81-year-old's poor debate performance. Others are standing firmly behind him.
What I do think the president needs to decide is, can he put those concerns aside? Can he demonstrate to the American people that what happened on the debate stage was an aberration?
I know what it's like to have a rough debate, and I'm standing right here, you know, as your senator. And I want to just say how I'm so proud I am to stand with the president.
The Biden campaign is still working to convince the public that he's capable of leading the country for 4 more years.
I think he's done a great job. However, I think that now's the time for Joe Biden to be the statesman, step down.
I'm still feeling good about Joe Biden.
I find it fascinating that nobody's asking for his opponent, who's almost as old as he is, mentally fairly confused, not to step down or step aside.
President Biden insists he's staying in the fight. And President Biden faces another big test this week. He'll host world leaders for a NATO summit here in Washington, D.C. That begins on Tuesday. In Washington, Bree Jackson. Savannah, back to you.
All right, Bree, thank you so much. Well, in other political news, closing arguments are set to get underway this afternoon in the federal bribery trial of New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez. His defense rested their case last week without the senator taking the stand in his own defense. Menendez said the government, quote, failed to prove every aspect of this case. Prosecutors alleged that bribes in the form of gold bars and hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash were uncovered during a search of Menendez's home back in 2022. The New Jersey senator has pleaded not guilty to charges he traded cash for political favors. Well, in a surprising move, aircraft manufacturing giant Boeing plans to plead guilty to a single criminal fraud charge related to 2 crashes involving 737 MAX airplanes in 2018 and 2019 that killed 346 people. It's part of a plea deal negotiated between Boeing and the U.S. Justice Department, which accused the plane maker of deceiving regulators. The deal will require the company to pay an almost $250 million fine and invest at least $455 million in compliance and safety programs. It will also allow the company to avoid a criminal trial. Well, the deal has to be accepted by a federal judge before it can take effect, but some relatives of the victims who died in the 2 crashes say this deal hides the true magnitude of Boeing's crime. Boeing confirmed it reached a deal with the Justice Department, but gave no further comment. Well, as many of us are getting back to work after a long holiday weekend, the TSA is bracing for a record rush through America's airports. NBC News correspondent Maggie Vespa is at Chicago O'Hare International Airport for us. Maggie, good morning. First, just what's it like there so far? It's looking pretty busy behind you.
Savannah, it's already definitely busy behind us. But I mean, as you know, this continues like a surge in travel over the last week or so. And actually, we just got new data in the last hour. We're bringing it here first from TSA. Yesterday alone, they say they screened more than 3 million passengers. Those are preliminary numbers from the agency. They say that is a record total. That is the most passengers screened in a single day. And some travel sites are estimating we'll have a similar crowd, close to 3 million passengers, going through America's airports today. So these airports are crammed. People should definitely allow extra time. For what it's worth, we should point out TSA was bracing for this. They had predicted close to 16 million passengers between July 3rd and the end of today. So we'll see how that overall total shakes out. If that does happen, Savannah, it would be up 5% from last year. So kind of the post-pandemic surge in travel just continues to escalate, clearly.
Absolutely. And we keep on hearing that that's the most passengers screened in a single day. It just keeps going up and up. Maggie, let's talk about the roads. Right. If you're driving, how's it looking this morning? When's the best time to hit the road if you want to try to avoid traffic as much as possible?
Get ready for another record-setting number, Savannah. This is also another situation where if you are driving, you're part of a record wave. AAA says that close to 60 million Americans basically over the last week or so drove to get to or from their July 4th destination. So again, today is expected to be a major travel day out on the roads as well. If you are hitting the roads, you really want to avoid that kind of midday rush between like 1 and 5 p.m. The best time to hit the road, if you can stay up and if you can do it safely, which for us who are up early in the morning, it's a bit questionable. The best time, Savannah, is after 7. So it feels late to me, but that's when traffic would be lightest.
Ooh, yeah, especially on this schedule, right? Just starting to drive at 7 p.m. I don't think so. Maggie, what are some areas seeing worse highway congestion than others? Where is it going to be tougher on the roads?
Yeah, it's really interesting. So basically, Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, and Denver are the 3 cities that are kind of getting pegged as going to have the worst holiday travel. Their holiday traffic, I should say, is up from last year, but they're expected, get this, to have twice as much congestion today as they do on a normal day. So if you're driving to, from, or through those areas, definitely allow extra time. And again, stay up late if you can, but I would not bank on that myself. You would need to put coffee straight into my veins to make me drive after 7 at this point. Yeah.
All right, Maggie, thank you so much. Talk to you in a bit.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.